if my knowledge is like this when I started my PhD, now I'm like this. There's a you are able to see the domain in a much more broader light than what I had known before I started my PhD.
Harsha, I'm very curious to know what you have found. So please enlighten us about it. Like, what is your discovery? And please tell us more about the lab in which you had worked in.
Okay. First, let me do the easier part of the answer, right? The lab I have worked with. Okay. So, fortunately for me, I have done my master's and PhD from the same university. Okay. So, I already know the professor with whom I was going to do my PhD. So, there is already a certain bit of ease with him for me. I can speak my mind. I can express my interest. I mean, not that anybody who's coming new cannot do that. I mean, I have already established on how to express my views with my advisor. That's what I'm trying to. Everybody is free to express their views, but as I, just like how I am trying to, understand the question and trying to answer in a more holistic manner. At the same way, you would take a little bit of time to, express your ideas or communicate what you are trying to say to the advisor. That has already been done for me. So I have a little bit of advantage when I've already started my PhD. And the second thing I want to say is that there is a reason why I wanted to continue my PhD under the same professor. Okay, one, I'm pretty much interested in the subject matter. Okay, I'll go back to these 3 points again and again. I was really passionate about that subject. I mean, from almost when I was 15 years old, computing has been really interesting to me. Okay, so as I have grown in my career, I have only learned on exactly what I want to do, and that's when I'm sorry. And during the course of my masters, I found that this is what I want to work on. So that's also the reason why I wanted to continue with the professor. And finally, my working style and my advisor's working style are kind of in sync with each other. Okay, my advisor is somebody who believes in, like, first in the first step, I'll point the student in a particular direction. Okay, then I'll let the student figure out how they want to approach the problem. See, when you are starting the research, right, there is a vast field of topics that you can choose from. Even in the narrow domain that you choose. Let's just say I have done my PhD in interconnection for heterogeneous architectures at a broad level, right? But even in that interconnection and heterogeneous architectures, there are different points of challenges or different challenges that I can solve. Okay, so my advisor is somebody I express my, this is what I want to do. He nudges me in the proper direction, and then he lets me do my work for a while. He lets me figure out how I want to solve the problem. Let me come up with the efficient solutions to those challenges. And whenever I there are some inefficiencies in my solutions, he again nudges me in a proper direction. Okay, so and I'm very much happy with that. Okay, I would rather do the intimate the intricacies, the details of those things by myself. I want me to be pointed in a particular direction, so that works for me. And secondly, there are other students also where it may not be exactly the same way. So there, what my advisor does is, again, as I said, the first step, he nudges them in a particular direction. Then if he sees them finding a little bit difficult, then he puts in a more effort and all those things, right? So in that sense, again, I'll come back to the lab colleagues and also, but in that sense, my advisor and me have a very good sync between us. Okay, I want to tackle all the details on how exactly I'm going to do by myself, and my advisor is happy to let me do that. Again, this is something he has. This is something that confidence builds over time. It's not going to happen again. I will be answering a little bit in a more detailed manner in the later part. But basically, what I am trying to say is, that way I am very happy in my work. I'm getting to do what I want to do. I'm able to think. How can I approach a problem? How do I solve a problem? And then my advisor provides me the guidance to do that. Whether my solutions are correct or not. If I'm doing something wrong, he points to me, okay, this is something that is wrong. You need to rethink about it. That how to put it, that ease of working, right? And I'm eternally grateful to my advisor for letting me do that. Okay. And finally, coming down to lab, colleagues, resources, and all those things, right? IIITD, there is little problem with having the resources that you want to do. The university, the professor, and all are always supporting you to do what you want to do. And my colleagues, again, luckily, I have one senior with who was already doing PhD when I have joined PhD, one who has joined with me, and two who have joined later me, and everybody luckily, uh, there is always a good communication with them. How to put it? It's not always. I mean, from my seniors, I have learned a lot of things, and at the same time, if they thought I can help them with something, they are open to ask them. Okay, and the same is the case with my juniors also. Okay, wherever I could help them, I was able to help them. Okay, and wherever I think they have more knowledge, I'm happy to ask them. Okay, that sense of openness in the lab is something that always helps you. Having good colleagues, having people with whom you can discuss your problems, who knows what are the challenges that you will face in your research work, right? It always helps you, because they are also going through similar, if not the same struggles, right? Sometimes a particular tool doesn't work, something is very difficult to understand, you don't find enough papers, all these things. These are all part and parcel of PhD, right? And there is somebody who is having a similar journey with whom you can share your problems. It's very nice to do that. In that sense, I have been very lucky both with my advisor and with my lab resources and with my lab colleagues also in all three aspects. So I think my experience overall has been pretty breezy when it comes to the lab aspects of it. Now coming down to the second aspect of it, I think the question is how has been my experience as a PhD student, right? Okay, it's a little. I'm thinking about how to answer the question. Uh, and everything that is good about my PhD, right? It has been really great. Okay, I have broadened my horizons during my PhD. Okay, what I knew before my PhD and what I know during my PhD and what I have learned after my PhD, it has kind of broadened my horizons, right? I know certain thing before I started my PhD. Now I know a lot more on what goes, at least in my domain. I mean, I have learned even beyond my domain because of certain other things. But even in my domain, what goes on to it, what are the regular challenges that computing architects or somebody people will face. How do we approach to those problems? What is feasible? What is not feasible? The scope of how to put it. If my knowledge is like this when I started my PhD, now I am like this. There is a you are able to see the domain in a much more broader light than what I had known before I started my PhD. That's one general experience. So it's a really great thing. Okay, and second thing is, again, I'll start with the pros of it, the goods of it, and there are some cons also. I'll come to those things also. As part of my PhD, even beyond my lab, right, I got to interact with a lot of people. Okay, people from who are working under different professors, people who are working in a different stream of work. I mean, CSC, at least IIITD has computer science, computational biology, mathematics, and all those things. So you interact with these people, and you get to see different facets of work being done. You know, the best example I can give is in a company, your team is not the only one that is going to do some work, right? There are other teams that are doing different kinds of, and you get to see and you see, wow, there is so much going on, in terms of what is being done, whether it's in your own domain or it's in a totally different domain, right? But from there, you learn a lot of things. So to be able to be in a place uh, where you are able to do your own work and also see what others are doing, you know, that's a wonderful experience. I mean, let me just give one example. I know I'm going very long on my answers, but let me just give one example. Right, there is this one professor under whom I have studied in masters, and I mean, I fairly have a good communication with that professor. So one time we were just discussing about various. It just happened so. So one of the research problems they are working on is, if you know a crow is totally black in color, but its neck is gray in color. Okay. So the research problem that they are trying to identify is, why does a crow have its entire body as black except the neck part which is in gray color? Okay. Similarly, why does a zebra has alternating patterns of black and white colors? What impacts that thing in each animal, right? So when I was listening to this professor, it just struck me. Yes, this is something I almost see every day, but this is something I would never have thought. Why is a crow's neck gray? You know, what I'm trying to bring from here is that when you're seeing so many different people working on so many different things, right? You see, no, okay, there are things that you would never have thought of it. But then you hear people doing those works, you learn it. It just kind of motivating. Not even it's not even motivating. It's just kind of a more happy thought that okay, there is so much beyond what I already do. There is so much for me to learn. You know, that's one of my best experiences of PhD. This is just one such example. I have found solutions to my problems because I attended somebody else's PhD defense or somebody else's comprehensive talk. Just because it has nothing to do with my work, right? It's just that because I'm listening to so many different ideas, it motivates certain aspects of my own work. That's one of the best experiences of those things. I Yeah, I mean, I can summarize most of my experience in that one statement, right? To be able to interact with those people. Now, coming down to the cons, yes, I mean, one common difficult aspect of PhD is there is always going to be this time period where you are in slump. You know, you are putting in your best hard work. You are writing many papers, but they are not getting accepted. I'm sorry. You're writing papers, but they're not getting accepted. You really feel a little bit demotivated, difficult to go through those things. It's a hard thing to do. You put in 3-4 months of effort to write a paper, to do a particular research. A particular problem, you solve a particular problem, and then you are publishing a paper, but then it doesn't get published. You see sometimes really bad reviews also. Okay, so those I think are the most difficult times of my PhD. That it's really, I mean, there is some time where none of my papers were getting accepted. For 6-7 months, 1 year time frame. It's really difficult. And what kept me going through is, as I said, only my passion to do this work. Refine, make myself better, and address whatever is coming into whatever is being critiqued about my work, make it better, and make my solution better. That's the only motivation that has gone through it. But it's a really difficult phase of PhD, and I'm sure most PhDs do go through that period, right? And the second thing is something I've already said. You do, no matter how passionate you are, no matter how motivated you are to do a PhD, still there are sometimes you feel like and particularly these are the times when it makes it feel more, so that your papers are not getting published or your research is not going well, whatever can be the reason, right? And you see somebody, you would think that okay, there is this friend of me who is already doing a job, who is earning money, who is getting all kinds of things. Again, just as a funny example, right? They are buying car, they are thinking about buying a home, whereas here you are, yeah, yeah. So I'll just wrap up my question, right? Sorry, my answer to that question. When you're especially going through that bad period in your own PhD, you see, I'm sure most PhDs would be thinking about it. That you see your friends already doing job, getting things that they want to do, earning more money. As much as it is also an important component of what you're doing, money and what you want to do and all those things. It does feel sometimes a little bit of demotivating. I think those are the bad times of your PhD. But again, as I said, once you are through that hump and you are again back in the good phase, you will know all the good things of it. So I think those are my best and say bad worst experiences of PhD. Best being both doing what I want to do and learning a lot of other things in my domain, and even better learning from other people, seeing what all is going on in research as say in a general manner. The worst is having to deal with paper rejections, very bad critiques, not being not your research not progressing in the way you want it to. I'm sorry. I guess those are my best and I would even say pros and cons of PhD. Right? I wouldn't technically say as cons. Cons are slightly different from what I say, but best and worst experience of PhD.
Okay. So, Harsha, the next question, which is bothering me a lot, is like you joined ARM in the year of 2019 while you were still doing your PhD. How did this happen? Like,
So so that was around the time I came back from US. I was doing an overseas research fellowship over there, and by the time I came back, I more or less completed most of the things that I wanted to do in my PhD. Okay, there was only one problem. Even that problem, I have found the solution. I have implemented it. It was mostly running the simulations, getting the data needed for publishing the paper, and all these things. So, from my perspective, and even from my advisor's perspective, we both were confident that okay, we have reached a point where in the context of the PhD, in the context of the problem that we are trying to solve, we have completed everything, every goal that we have set ourselves. That's one reason. And secondly, there is also a little bit. Where I'm working right now, I have also done my internship there. Okay, my manager over there was very eager to get me into the team as soon as he can. So again, I might have stayed for 3 more months if that is not the case. But more or less, that 6 month period is where I would have anyway joined the job. So combined with the fact that I'm more or less completed with whatever I wanted to do from the beginning of my PhD, whatever goals I have set myself, and at the same time having an opportunity which I was really looking forward to work on. Combine these two, yeah, I thought okay, I can join, and whatever was left over in my minor things which are left over in my PhD, I can do it as a from there and complete my defense and all those things. And yes, it's a matter of 3-4 months, but I think most people generally do it that way. Once you are kind of done with your work, what we generally do is that you go ahead, you submit your thesis, or you start writing your thesis and you go on to pursue new things. It's mostly a combination of having an opportunity that I really wanted to take, and more or less being at the end of at the fag end of my PhD. Okay. Yeah, that's the reason why I went for the job, completed remaining minor things that are left over in my PhD, and then submitted my thesis.
mhm, okay. So, having earned your doctorate very recently, and now that you have begun as a senior engineer with ARM, so is it too early for me to ask you what are your future plans now?
Uh, yes, in a sense, yes, I might be too early, but there is one thing that at least I can say. This has I wouldn't say has nothing to do with my job, but this is something I have envisioned myself to be to reach that point. And again, PhD is part of that journey also. So what I really want to achieve is to be an expert in whatever I am doing. Okay. So my primary interest as of now is interconnections and computer architecture. Okay. Primarily interconnections. So in five might be too early, but what I'm trying to say is, in the earliest possible future, I want to see myself as an expert in the domain. Okay, somebody who is well known with the subject matter, well known with the challenges of implementing this technology in the industry-wide perspective. Uh, you know, as I said, be an expert in the domain. That's where I see myself. That's what I want to achieve in my future. So in that sense, yes, I can answer what are my future plans, whatever is going to help me achieve that thing, right? Again, as I said, in PhD you learn a lot of things, but that's not the end of it. Okay, I will give some common pointers at the end of this video, which I will say there. I will explain in elaborate. But you learn certain things. There is still a lot more to learn, and I'm learning that as part of my job over here. And tomorrow there might be another opportunity which might give me a different perspective of that thing. So basically, I want to go along that path, which helps me finally achieve that goal of being an expert in my domain. Be To put it simply, be good at what I am doing, be really good at what I am doing. So in that sense, yeah, that's where I want to reach. I know my goal, but I cannot answer what are the intermediate steps to it. This is one step. Just as PhD is one step along that way, my current job is also one step along the way. And yeah, and I am indeed learning a lot more things. If anybody has any questions in what I'm doing, yeah, I can answer that a little. But yeah.
Great, Harsha. So it was a very insightful session with you, and indeed it even helped me a lot because I am also on a very starting phase of my research career. So your words definitely helped clarify my confused mind, and definitely it would also help those who are planning to enter the similar line as you and me have done. So thanks once again for
Thank you.
taking out your time from your very busy schedule,
Yeah.
and I wish you all the best for your future career.
Thank you, and of course, thank you for believing that I would be of help. And secondly, yes, I'm really happy to help. As somebody who has been there, where you are and where many other people might be thinking of, I'm really happy to help. In whatever way I can. I'm sure there are many questions which are more subjective in nature. I might not have answered them in the exact perspective somebody is looking them in. But I hope I have given a general idea of what entails a PhD journey.
So Harsha, if our viewers would like to connect with you, how can they reach out to you?
My best thing is email. I think my email ID is harshag@iiitd.ac.in. I still check that email ID regularly, so they can always post questions over there. So that's the best platform, I would guess. And IIITD always, I guess, alumni meets, alumni connects, and all those things. And if anybody is from the university or planning to join, that's another forum. I plan to be available as much as I can in those forums also. But those are more of a regular yearly or quarter yearly meetings kind of thing. But at other times, I'm always available over email. That's the best way to reach me.
Great, Harsha. So once again, I thank you for coming here and spending your time with us.
Thank you. Same to you. And I hope you. I know. I think you had the. I'm very unfortunate situation. You had the kind of a worse situation to start your PhD in, right? But I hope the things get better soon, and you will be in the university. I think I missed that point in my this thing. Also, the college campus, other PhD student is very different, even more so than master. I hope you enjoy that. You get to experience that life. You and anybody who has all these questions and who are planning to do all those things. I hope things turn for the better soon. We are all there in the campus, enjoying the campus life, doing PhD. Thank you, and yeah,
Hoping to meet you someday down the line at IIIT. Looking forward to meet you.
I'll be there. I'm just waiting for things to kind of get better. I have to come to the university. I mean, that's another unfortunate part. I couldn't do my defense in person. An experience nobody should miss. But yeah, again, unfortunate year, many unfortunate things. But yeah, I want to be there as soon as I can. I want to meet Dr. Sujay, meet the new students, meet all other people. So hopefully we can soon meet in person.
Great, Harsha.